Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents. I am Tracey S. Phillips, and today I am interviewing Anne Louise Bannon. Anne is the author of the Freddie and Kathy mystery series set in the 1920s, the Operation Quickline series set in the 1980s, the Old Los Angeles series set in the 1870s. Her journalistic work has appeared in Ladies' Home Journal and the Los Angeles Times, Wines and Vines, Seam Work, and in newspapers across the country. She was a TV critic for over 15 years. Today, we're discussing the Operation Quickline series and the latest installment, The Room Where It Happened. She is also the author of a standalone, Running Away to Boston, which is my personal favorite.
Oh,
Welcome, Anne.
thank you, Tracey. You're being too kind. And I'm so glad you liked Running Away to Boston. I liked it too.
That is a great one. And this Operation Quickline book, The Room Where It Happened, is fascinating to me. It reminds me of like some of the 80s TV shows, and where there's like a lot of family goings on while this couple is solving the mystery. And so it's great. I was hoping we could start at the beginning, though. What is Operation Quickline?
Operation Quickline is the ultra top secret organization that my two main characters work for. It's mostly about passing information around, hence the name. But the other part of the other thing they do is investigations. And this is how, and because Sid and Lisa in one of the earlier books have gotten promoted to one of the higher levels in the organization, they're going to be doing things like what they end up doing in Room where it happened, investigating the senator and for the nuisance case.
Okay.
And so they do a lot of undercover work, and that'll of course once it transitions. Uh, there will be only 15 books in the series. Book 15 is currently starting on the blog or in the Substack, which is the best way to get it. Uh, and Anyway, so the series starts in the early 1980s, in 1982, when Sid picks Lisa up. And at the time, Sid's sleeping around. He's a Vietnam vet. He's sleeping around a lot because that was how he was raised, and you see that a lot more in Room Where It Happened because he is interacting with Stella, the aunt who raised him. Lisa, on the other hand, is this very principled, very nice young woman who believes that sex belongs in marriage. And, she's not mean about it or anything. She just says, wait a minute, this is my value for my life. And then, of course, the two have to figure out how to work together. And then next thing you know, they fall in love. And, it's romance with espionage intrusions. Or espionage with romantic intrusions. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
But
how it works. And so over the course of these 14 novels, they've come through various stages in their relationship where they're realizing they really like each other or really love each other, trying to deny it. Then, other characters start joining the cast. Nick, their son, doesn't really show up until book 4 because his birth mother uh, didn't tell Sid he had a kid until book 4. So so they have this thing. And Lisa's family has always been involved from the very beginning. To your point about that, um, they were in the first book. And in fact, Sid gets embroiled with them and her nieces and nephews very, very early on. I mean, Janie, who was only 6 at the time, she's Darby's younger sister, one of the boys in the book. She she latches onto Sid and sees him for who he is, a good man who does bad things.
kids are like that, aren't they?
Yeah, and Jeannie in particular is. You don't want to play poker with her. Actually, I don't want to play poker with Elisa either. She's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But it's that sense of perception, and so there's the initial conflict between Sid and Lisa's father
Hmm.
and all that. So and it just goes on and on and on until it develops and the characters just grew.
Yeah.
And it was, by
Yeah.
the way, it was originally written in the 1980s. That's when I
You,
first wrote it.
oh,
Yeah.
wow,
I-
that's great.
yeah.
So the book reminds me something like the Rockford Files meets the Cosby Show.
I'm using that line. It's mine now.
Okay.
But
Um,
I guess it does.
but yeah, it's like all this family dynamics going on, and then this mystery the couple is trying to solve. Um, and you were a TV critic for a while. So
Yeah.
did you plan that out?
No, like I said, the vast majority of this series was written long before I became a TV critic, long before I even became a journalist. I was still a theater student. It was written, the bulk of it was written between 1982 and 19, I think I may have gotten into 1985. I don't remember. And unfortunately, those notes are no longer, but uh the what I did was, because I did write this initially then, none of that TV. Rockford Files may have, except I never watched Rockford Files. In fact, at that time I wasn't even watching much TV at all, although I did watch the Cosby Show when that aired in the fall of '84, as I recall.
Yeah.
Well, my kid was born that first season, and I was watching it when I first went into labor, so I kind of remember when that one happened. you know so but it was just what it was. And I think some of it was I was affected by Raymond Chandler and the Lone Wolf and Nero Wolf and some of these characters who had no families. And like, people don't not have families. They have
Yeah.
families. And they get in the way and they create interesting conflict. Wow, we gotta have
Right.
family here.
Yeah. So wait, let's get into Sid's family a little bit. In this book, he's just found out they may know more about how his mother died, right?
Yeah, right.
And yeah, and said he was raised by his aunt
Hmm.
and never knew his mother or his father.
Or his father. Well, in this point of the story, they still don't know who Sid's father really is. Um, and but the reality was, I wanted to, when I created Sid, I wanted to create a plausible reason for him being a sleaze without him being a sleaze, because Lisa would never fall for him if he was just a total sleaze.
Right.
And it just would never work. So I had to find a plausible reason. So first off, I kept him as a lone wolf, because I later realized that was really spot on instinct wise because of PTSD, which we didn't know about in the 80s, or at least we didn't know about popularly. And so I wanted some sort of reason for him to be loose as a goose and not be sleazy about it. And that's kind of how Stella happened, basically, in the fact that he didn't know his mother. And it is in the first book that his mother is dead and died when he was presumably 2 years old. So this has been part of Sid's history since the beginning. And I had been noodling around with the idea of doing a cold case like this and trying to find out about it for years, but it just never came off. And so I kind of let it go when I
Yeah.
finished.
But yeah, but it comes across in here. And so can you reveal a little bit about what they discover?
In one of the earlier books, Sid finds out that his mother was a prostitute. Stella never told him. And so she finally tells him that his mom was, sleeping around because she was getting paid for it. And in fact, there's a rather funny scene where he says, they figured that he was conceived in a gangbang at a college frat party,
Yeah.
one of three frat parties. And said, "Oh, how appropriate! Look at me, the son of all men." And Stella just looks at him and says, "She wasn't there for the fun of it. She was being paid." And Sid goes, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because he's already, and in one of the early books, again, they're on a case where they're pretending, Sid and Lisa are pretending to be married. He needs to get his rocks off. He's not going to touch Lisa because that's just not who he is, but he's got to get his rocks off. So he's buying it. And that blows up in his face.
I
So
hope so.
yeah,
Just saying.
Lisa catches him and
Yeah.
but his attitude towards prostitution, as it says in here, is it was just another way of getting it. I had no idea there was so much of this other stuff involved. Because he'd never known. He'd known hookers all his life. Big deal. So he's coming into understanding, wait a minute, this is not cool. This is something really bad. And so, I think it's fun because Sid and Lisa both grow so much as people all the way through this series. Um, Lisa gets very, very, she starts out kind of uptight, and this is, oh dear, sorry about that. She gets uptight and starts out, but then she's very open and very accepting. Sid, again, all over the place, and then realizes, wait a minute. But most interestingly, he gets more connected as a human being to the people in his life, including Lisa and her family, especially Lisa and her family.
Yeah.
So when when we first meet Sid, he and Stella are estranged. They're not talking they haven't talked to each other in a decade, in over 15, 16 years. And so when they finally do come back, and yeah, it is Lisa who helps bring them together. When they find it's in Just Because You're Paranoid, when they finally do connect back again, Sid's finding out all this stuff, and he's been finding out bits and pieces about his childhood all along because Stella would never talk about it.
Hmm.
It was very interesting. I don't know how
Yeah.
it happened, but it just became part of the world building, I guess.
Yeah. So and you're really good at dialogue. And it feels like so natural when you're reading the book. Like, yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, like you're
Thank
sitting
you.
in a room with the people in the family and all this is going on over here with the kids and the card games. And then, then they're discussing the case. And it just kind of feels like it would be very a natural scene, a natural family scene. So how do you do that? What is your process like?
Well, I'm kind of sitting in the room with them, basically. As I often say, it's very noisy up here. Um, I I don't have a process per se. I just listen. I've been listening my entire life. When I was a kid, we were living in Belgium for a year and a half when I was 9 years old. My dad was with a defense contractor at the time, and which is another fascinating story, but let's not go there. But we drive all over in this Volkswagen Campmobile, bus, all over the western half of Northern Europe because, you couldn't go east. It
Right.
was 67, 68. You couldn't do that. And so we'd be driving all over, and I'd be in the back of the Campmobile imitating all the languages I heard. All this nonsense. And, that's just what I did. I listened and I picked up these accents. And as a result, I developed a rather good British accent. Can
Oh,
do a decent Scots if I'd work at it. And, and, German, French, whatever. I picked up on, in fact, when I was doing some of the acting in theater, that's one of the things that was kind of my claim to fame is that I could do all these different dialects. And even so,
cool.
New York, I can do a New York accent like nobody's business. So that's that I was listening. And
Yeah.
that's the only advice I can give is listen.
Yeah.
Try and
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm the same way. I process
yeah.
conversations afterwards too, and then I'll edit them. I should have said this, or I wish you said that.
Oh yeah,
It's
that
totally
that
a
that
writer thing to do, I think.
I think so. Or maybe a lot of us, I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely a big thing.
Yeah. And your publishing process is just a little bit different than normal, I guess. Because you release one chapter a week through your newsletter on Substack.
Hmm.
And you write, is it on your blog too?
It started out on the blog. Actually, it started out, I think as early as 2009. I had started a blog for television criticism. And but then at the same time, I had this novel that I'd written again back in the late 80s that just wouldn't end. It just would not end. And I thought, hmm, blogging is a serial kind of, why don't I blog this? So I was doing this like decades before what it was that Bella or whatever that thing was that
Oh, yeah.
Amazon attempted. And yeah, there were a few of us out there trying to sell things serially. And so I did White House Rhapsody for a lot of years and then eventually just kind of morphed into the whole Quickline series as a blog. And it didn't really do anything because people don't read blogs, and I'm probably not the best marketing person on the planet. But the Substack thing's actually relatively new, so I have no idea how that's going to play out. But I know I'm getting more newsletter readers as a result.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and marketing is hard. Yeah.
Not my charism, as they say.
Yeah. And this room where it happened is the 14th or 13th installment?
14th.
14th.
Um, there were 13 books originally, one of which was a series of short episodes, some of which I've pretty much bookshelved and will probably never find again. But there were 12 of them, the last one being amateur theatricals. Book 13, which is Paths Not Taken and Rumor It Happened and Necessary Chances, which are the last three, I actually wrote fairly recently, within the past few years. I had, and then the new series that Sid and Lisa are going to be moving on to when One Door Closes. That did a lot of rewriting from about these Hallowed Halls on during the pandemic. I just got
Uh-huh.
obsessed. It was my way of hiding from being afraid.
Yeah.
So I dealt with all that. I dealt with it that way.
Yeah.
And so I've been reworking them. And then as I was finishing up amateur theatricals, I kind of came up with the idea for Necessary Chances, wrote that, then wrote When One Door Closes, which is the Gold Team series, which will be coming out a couple of years from now. And then,
Is that so when one door closes, is that the next series for Sid and Lisa?
yep, yeah.
Okay.
Quickline's going away. We know it from the very, if you read the prologue in that old Cloak and Dagger routine, Quickline has been shuttered. It's gone. And that's why, and her work is being declassified. So she can start talking about it in the public sphere in a way she could before.
Okay.
I mean, these are essentially Lisa's journals, but everybody else's voices keep interfering. So was it? But then two stories started sticking out. I thought they were going to be part of the Gold Team series, and then no, they weren't. They were part of this series. There were a couple of gaps that I thought, I need to plug these gaps. I need to plug these gaps.
Yeah.
And so Paths Not Taken, which again, it's very family oriented. They're at Lisa's father's resort, trying to get some work done and find out who's trying to, they're trying to set up a sting or not set up a sting. It gets very confused. Um, and I have several, and there's also one other thing. 'Twas glasnost what done us in, says the opening of the prologue. That and a CIA muckety muck with a chip on his shoulder. So when you see Noah Taplin, when you see Zach Peters in some of the other episodes, when you see Clint Foster, they're all CIA.
Okay.
Who did them in? And you find out later. But
Okay.
so I had to get some of these CIA schmucks in there anyway. So
Cool.
it's just one
So
of those things that got very wrapped up.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you've got a plan then forward with all the series and with your characters.
Uh-huh.
Um, I have a question. Have you ever fallen down any research rabbit holes?
I live in research rabbit holes. Getting me out of the research rabbit hole is the trick. I love research rabbit. I'm down there all the time. I'm just happy as a clam when I'm, ooh, let's see, look at this, minor militia movement. All right. Oh, look at that. Oh, savings and loan crisis, which was part of this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was going on. Oh, how cool. Let's see, what can I find out about that? Yeah.
Yeah, because it is placed in
I'm,
the 80s. But do you ever find that you accidentally slip in like terminology or whatever
oh, yeah,
from,
all the time, all the
yeah,
time. In fact,
whoops.
there's a lot of terminology in there that was that there when we were in the. And now, if I'm sticking close to the original, some of the dialogue from the original books, I'm in good shape. I was in the 80s at the time.
Yeah,
That's when I'm coming out of this. And now that I'm going to be in the 90s with the Gold Team series, yeah, I'm
yeah.
really going, okay, what did I say in that back
And the
then?
Gold Team series is also Sid and Lisa.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They're getting reassigned essentially, but
So next is coming
Necessary Chances.
Necessary Chances.
It's the last in the Quickline series, so it's kind of special to me. It also takes place at my all-time favorite time of the year, which is Christmas. And I purposely set everything out so it will end, the blog will end right on top of this year's Christmas. And it's just a fun, it's family entanglements up the wazoo. I mean, Darby's starting to get noticed as a talented violinist, and that's wreaking havoc because he's partly getting a big head, but he's also getting pressures. And he's 16 years old in an era where, you're kind of expected to be messing around, and he doesn't necessarily want to be, but he kind of does. And, I thought it was kind of fun that it was Lisa's nephew who would be loose, not Sid's son, who you would think would be the loose one, but no, Nick's not. And we find out why in Paths Not Taken, but
Right.
he's what Nick is an interesting character. He has really grown in interesting ways, and
Yeah.
so I've had so much fun with him. But Darby's also been a very, very interesting character to me because he too grows, and he's had a rough time, but he's also surrounded by really good people who really care about him.
Yeah. How do you
Uh,
determine what mystery they're going to solve each time?
Ashley started with a journaling prompt. I had this journaling group that came out of COVID. It was great. And one of our prompts was write a story that begins, and this is the room where it happened.
Oh,
And next thing I know, I'm writing about the Sid and Stella in this room looking around, and they've seen, and this is the room where it happened, and here it is. And I suddenly realized it's Sheila's murder that I want to work on. And that came with the journaling prompt. And then that wasn't quite enough. And I wanted to figure out how I was going to get Quickline in there. And so they got past the job because somebody else was investigating. And then the guy moved out east and they know he's been having contact with him. Okay, you're on this job. And so that's how that happened. And it
okay.
just grew. And then, of course, I realized, wait a minute, what's going on historically at this time? And I didn't quite remember savings and loan, but then I read about it and went, because hey,
Yeah.
1980s newspapers are on the library. I just go click, 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 hit another research rabbit hole. And,
Yep. Yep.
I, oh, wait, that's what's going on. Oh, yeah, I can use that. And so that's kind of all that all just kind of happens.
Yeah.
I'm working on book two in the Gold Team series right now. It's been taking its time coming together, but and the crime is morphed in this particular one because the one I had originally picked wasn't working that well.
Yeah.
So
So you're writing books for future publication, and
right.
then when they're all edited and beta read and all of that good stuff, then you start releasing it into the blog or the Substack.
Right. Well, and it is going to move off the blog completely. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the blog. It might be some more serious stuff, but um, I know that the Substack is where I'm going to probably put it, and I'm hopefully going to start podcasting that old cloak and dagger routine. There's just so much going on in my life right now. I can't even think about it. It's just making me crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah, I know you've been through a lot this year.
yeah, it's been one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Or as the sign in the Hindu's office, it's been one of those lives.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that way too sometimes.
Don't we all? It's just,
Yeah,
it's life. But you
yeah,
know what? We come out of it, we come out with some really good material. And what's really going to be, I think, oh shoot, I just had an idea. Bing, 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 bing. Sid and Lisa deal with PTSD. Well, guess what I'm dealing with right now? Some PTSD. So that could be something to work with in this next series. How they're,
right? Isn't, and it's you write what you know.
yeah, you really do. And even when you don't know, you write what you know about it. And
Yeah,
you can learn. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not an espionage agent. I don't know squat about real spy stuff. Although there is a guy, there's an author who is a retired CIA who buys my books. I'm like, don't read them. Don't read them for God's sake. She'll just croak. He
Yeah,
loves it.
that's great. Yeah. So, was there ever a big moment of doubt in your writing career? Like something that made you wonder, is this writing life really for me?
Uh, Not so much in terms of my life. I'm a writer. I've always been. But yeah, I'm having some bad doubts right now, and I know some of it's just what a lot of the crap I've been dealing with this year, which has been pretty heavy, and we don't want to go there. And oh, forgot to put my phone on silence. But we don't want to go there. It's just too much of a downer, to be
Yeah,
blunt. And but I will come out of it. I am confident, but it's that it has been lasting this long is kind of getting me a little bleh. But I think a couple good weeks of good writing, I will be fine. It's just
yeah.
and as my therapist put it, I'm one of her more resilient clients. So
Well, yeah. And don't you feel like you can use that fantasy world or whatever to sort of get away from to really
sometimes,
get away from
well,
everything?
that is exactly what I did with COVID. As I
Yeah,
used the Operation Quickline series. It's not happening now. And I think part of the problem is just because of what I'm dealing with. There's just so much extraneous crap going on that I don't have the opportunity to just stay focused on this. With COVID, it was just everybody's gone. Oh, good. Boom.
yeah.
But there's this coming at me. There's that coming at me. That bing, 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 bing. Oh, and I've got to read that, and I've got to do that, and I've got to get that filed and do this. And after a while, you're going. And because I am the ADHD poster child, I have no ability to focus under the best of circumstances. I am slightly neurospicy, but I got a jacket cut out. I sew. I don't know if you can see. That's what all that
Yeah.
is in the back there is all my projects that I'm working on right now. I can,
Sewing therapy.
yeah, and it does help. It does help. I've
Yeah.
come up with a couple of good ideas while I was sewing. So that's why I want to get back to it.
Yeah. So where can our readers find your books?
Almost anywhere there's books sold. Actually, I'm not in bookstores per se, but you can get your local independent bookstore to order my books. You can also go to bookshop.org if you want paperbacks specifically. And again, credit and pick your local independent bookstore. I like Octavia's Bookshelf now in Pasadena, very lovely little place. And buy the paperback. You can get the ebook anywhere ebooks are sold. I believe in wide distribution. And
Yeah.
oh wait, you can also go to my website.
Oh, hey,
Yes, all my links are there.
what
So
is your website?
AnneLouiseBannon.com. Do not forget the E at the end of Anne. A lot of people forget that, and it will actually redirect there, but it
Yeah.
just it's like easier.
Yeah. All
So,
right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
well, thank you for having me and letting me go on and on and on and on. And
This
on.
has
I
been
get
really
excited
great.
about this stuff.
Yeah. All right.